Before I get into today's video, I want to just remind you of my short-term expectation from last video. For the short term, I think we've got another interim low. I'm expecting the current bounce to move up for a few more days or a week or two before we see downward movement. I was expecting for the short term, for a week or two, a bounce, because price is strongly at support here with an increase in volume, indicates a bounce before I expect most likely a downward breakout. This is the daily technicals for Bitcoin, and I'm removing the rectangle structure, and this is why, because when I take away all of the indicators I've got below, so price is expanded out, not squished up, since we've had this last low and this last piece down here a few days ago, it's become much more apparent now that we do have a series of lower lows and we have a series of lower highs rather than just sideways movement. It's not so obvious when you squish price up like this, but it's obvious enough now to expect that there may not be a rectangle, there's a counter trend movement. So the task now is to figure out when the final low is in. It's common for Bitcoin's final lows of bearish movements to end with a strong increase in range and volume, and not just in March 2020. That's common at the end of other big bear markets as well. They don't always exhibit bullish divergence at the low with price and RSI, but they very commonly end with volume spikes and sharp increases of range. They don't always end with bullish reversal patterns either. This is some of the features that make Bitcoin's lows particularly hard to identify. So what I'm going to do is wait for a breakout above or below this channel in order to have confidence that the low is finally in place or it's going to continue lower. On balance of probability, just like my last video, I'm now expecting a continuation of downward movement because we don't have the conditions absolutely common or a little bit more normal for a low to be in place down here. But to be perfectly honest, one of the biggest reasons why I'm switching from more bullish to bearish is Elliott Wave, and I can't share that with you here because that's by subscription only. So I put a lot of weight on Elliott Wave analysis. If we get a break above resistance at this pink trend line, I'll then wait for a close above 73,100, followed by 2 green candlesticks up and away. If that happens, then I will expect we're on the next phase of a strong bullish run for Bitcoin. It's possible I could be wrong and the low may be in place here and we may be about to get an upward breakout, and that's how I'll know I'm wrong. And if I am, I'll actually be quite happy about that because I'm invested in this market myself. But if I'm right and we're going to get some more downward movement, we'll know if we see a break below support with a close below the lower edge of this pink channel, which, well, that's a bit of a difficult one because you can place it at different places. I'm going to place it on the close of this candlestick here. So if you see a new close to new lows below that point, then I'll expect we may find support in the 40 to maybe 35,000 area. I'll be expecting some more downward movement if that happens. On balance of probability, I think that's now possibly more likely than an upward breakout. But I could be wrong, we could see an upward breakout. At the last low for the very short term, I'm still going to expect a little bit more upward movement. The session of the 9th of September closed as a bullish engulfing candlestick pattern. It doesn't have support from volume, but off Bitcoin's lows, if we do see bullish reversal patterns, they often don't have support from volume. I will expect at least some follow through. We may see a break above resistance at 58,200. We may see resistance at 60,700 tested again. It's possible a bounce could get as high as this pink trend line, but it may not get that high. Overall, for the short term, I'm going to expect more upward movement before downward movement resumes. Volume is pushing price lower. The volume profile for Bitcoin at this time frame at this time is still bearish. On balance, volume is making new lows with price. There's no divergence. ADX is indicating there's a downward trend. I'll wait until ADX gets extreme above both DX lines and possibly as high as above 45. If it reaches above 45, then I would expect the downward trend may end. There's now double bullish divergence between price and RSI. As RSI moves higher and price closes lower, you'll note I've had to change my data feed. Crypto Compare has no longer providing data for me, and I'm using bar chart, and the data is a little bit different. RSI has not reached oversold, but it does still have bullish divergence with this data, suggesting, at least for the short term, a little bit more upward movement. That's my short term expectation for the next week or two. There's also double bullish divergence between price and RSI, supporting the view of at least short term some more upward movement as price bounces up off support. ATR has been declining as price moved lower, so we're not seeing that. We're seeing a volume spike at the last low, but we're not seeing a sharp increase in range, which is really common at the end of Bitcoin's bearish movements. So I'll expect that that last low may not be the final low, and it's probably going to be exceeded again. My weekly chart for XRP with this new bar chart data is still the same. The data fits the Elliott Wave count. Within primary wave 3, which is in cycle wave 3, I have intermediate 1, a leading expanding diagonal, intermediate 2 now complete as a triple zigzag, moved lower, and now intermediate 3 beginning. There's a lot of strength and upward movement within here to offer some reasonable support to labeling this pullback for XRP complete. Now, as Bitcoin moves lower, I expect XRP may just move sideways before it's ready to move into the strongest portion of the middle of its third wave. And if you look back at the history of these two markets, they just aren't making highs and lows always together. Let's take a look at the short-term structure for XRP from the low, the end of intermediate 2, this point down here. Within intermediate 3, I have minute 1 and 2 complete, and now minuet 1 and 2 complete. Minute 2 an expanded flat, minuet 2 a double zigzag, has a fairly decent fit. I'm going to label minor wave 1 within intermediate 3 complete. So when minor 1 is complete, maybe it could be the deep pullback for minor 2 could unfold for XRP while Bitcoin moves lower. They could possibly still move generally in the same direction, but not making new lows and new highs together as XRP moves overall sideways to complete its basing action for the start of a big third wave, while Bitcoin could move lower to complete a deeper correction. Minuet 2 may not move beyond the start of 1 below 0.4322. The 9th of September forms a bullish piercing pattern, so I'll expect we could see another break above resistance at 55 cents. If that happens, I'll expect that again to provide support. For the 5th of September, price closed below what was support in the 54-55 cent area. It hasn't managed to move much lower though. I thought we were going to get a test of 46 cents, but the bullish piercing pattern immediately following that says no, we may not. But the price is still finding resistance about 55 cents. If it can't break above there, we may see another test of 46 cents. If it can break above 55 cents, then look for more upward movement to test 62 cents. Volume was pushing price lower at the last low on a closing basis, but it's not as strong as previous upward movement for XRP. This market still has a really strong bullish volume profile. It's a lot clearer than Bitcoin. ADX is at a low level, it's below 15, there's no clear trend for XRP. On balance volume is within a range, these lines are slightly diverging, so we may not get a signal. With no clear trend indicated by ADX using a model of stochastics plus support and resistance, price is just bouncing up above support, but stochastics reached fully oversold. It's now positive and moving into neutral. Price is moving a little bit higher. Let's expect overall stochastics to continue higher to reach overbought, and price may continue overall higher to reach resistance. That's it for me with a quick update for you. I hope everyone's having a lovely day.